I learned a shocking truth about my girlfriend because of a simple grocery receipt. My name is Daniel, and this happened about 2 months ago. At the time, I thought my life was finally stable and predictable. I had a good job, a small apartment, and a girlfriend I trusted completely. Her name was Emily, and we had been together for almost 4 years. We even started talking about moving in together soon. One evening, she asked me to grab something from her purse while she was cooking dinner. That is when I noticed a folded receipt inside. I was not trying to snoop, but the store name on that receipt instantly caught my attention. The store on the receipt was a place across town that Emily never visited before. At least, that is what she always told me. It was a small furniture store called Oak Street Home. What confused me more was the date printed on the receipt. It was from 3 days ago, during a time she told me she was working late. The receipt also listed a large purchase. Someone had bought a couch and a coffee table. The total was over $800. Emily never mentioned buying furniture, and the strange part was that the receipt had two names printed at the bottom.
One of the names on the receipt was Emily Carter. That part made sense because that was my girlfriend. But the second name made my mind freeze for a moment. The other name was Michael Turner. Michael was not a stranger to me at all. He was actually my coworker and someone I saw almost every day. We were friendly, but not extremely close. Still, seeing his name next to Emily's felt very strange. Why would they buy furniture together? I quietly put the receipt back in her purse before she came back to the kitchen. For the rest of the evening, I tried to act normal. Emily kept talking about random things from her day, but my mind was stuck on that receipt. I kept replaying the details again and again. Michael worked in the same office as me. If he bought furniture with Emily, there had to be a reason. Maybe it was for a group project or something harmless. But deep down, something did not feel right. Later that night, while Emily was asleep, curiosity finally won. I quietly opened my phone and searched for Oak Street Home online. The website showed pictures of the store and their products. I scrolled down and found a gallery of recent orders. To my shock, one order had both Emily and Michael listed. It was a custom sofa set with their initials stitched on the cushions. Why would they do that? I tried to think of innocent explanations, but nothing made sense. My stomach twisted with anxiety and confusion. I wanted to ask Emily immediately, but I didn't want to start an argument. Instead, I waited for the next morning to bring it up casually. Little did I know, that conversation would change everything. The next morning, I poured coffee and sat next to Emily. I casually asked, "Did you and Michael go furniture shopping recently?" Her eyes flickered for a moment, and I felt my heart skip. She smiled nervously and said, "Oh, that. It was for a surprise project at work." I raised my eyebrows, but tried to act calm. She continued, "We are helping decorate the new office lounge. That's why we bought the sofa and table together." Her explanation sounded plausible, but I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. I wanted to believe her, but doubts kept lingering. I decided to watch closely over the next few days. Something told me this story wasn't over yet. Over the next few days, I kept noticing small hints. Emily and Michael would sometimes laugh together over messages. I saw them exchanging quick notes in the office. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe they were just friends. But one evening, I accidentally saw Emily's phone light up. The message preview showed Michael's name again. This time, it wasn't about furniture. It was a photo of them at a cafe I had never seen before. I felt my stomach drop. Why hadn't she mentioned this to me? My trust was starting to crack slowly. The photos showed Emily and Michael laughing, holding coffee cups. It looked casual, but my mind raced with questions. I wanted to confront Emily immediately, but I decided to wait until I had more information. The next day at work, I noticed Michael acting unusually quiet. Normally, he was chatty and friendly. I tried to act normal, but I watched him closely. During lunch, he got up and walked outside quickly. Curiosity got the best of me, so I followed from a distance. What I saw made my heart pound faster than ever. It was something I never expected.
I watched from behind a bush as Michael entered a small storage room. Emily was already there, arranging some boxes. At first, it looked like nothing unusual. Then, Michael handed her a small wrapped package. She smiled and laughed quietly as she opened it. Inside was a tiny wooden keychain shaped like a heart. I froze. It was clearly a personal gift, not related to work. They exchanged a few words I couldn't hear, then hugged briefly. I backed away, heart racing. Something was going on between them. I knew I needed to confront Emily soon. That evening, I decided to confront Emily gently. I asked, "Can we talk about yesterday?" She looked nervous, but nodded. I showed her the receipt and the photo I saw. Her face turned pale, and she took a deep breath. Then she started explaining, "Daniel, I understand why this looks bad, but Michael and I aren't together like that." She paused, tears forming in her eyes. "It's a surprise for your birthday. We planned it secretly." I blinked, confused but hopeful. Could it really be true? Everything I feared might have been a misunderstanding. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. Emily smiled softly, seeing my expression change. She explained that Michael had helped her pick out the perfect birthday gift. The cafe photo was from a planning meeting they had to finalize the surprise. The heart-shaped keychain was just the first part of a bigger present. I laughed nervously, feeling embarrassed for doubting her. Emily hugged me tightly and whispered, "I wanted it to be a complete surprise." All the tension from the past week melted away. I realized I had let my imagination run too wild. Trust, I remembered, was more important than assumptions. On my birthday, Emily surprised me perfectly. Michael had indeed helped, but it was purely as a friend. The living room was decorated beautifully with lights and balloons. The heart-shaped keychain was attached to a small box with my initials. Inside, there was a handwritten letter from Emily. She wrote about our memories and how much she loved me. I hugged her tightly, feeling a mix of joy and relief. All my doubts and fears vanished instantly. I realized how dangerous assumptions could be. That day, I learned a lesson about trust, love, and patience. It was a birthday I would never forget.